And we'll just go ahead and let Johnny introduce himself.
Hey everyone, Johnny Wenzel. I've been with ServiceTitan for a little over 2 years. I am a proud Canadian, but living in Utah for the time being. And before my time at ServiceTitan, I worked at a digital marketing agency. So marketing analytics, I was over the team responsible for analytics, attribution, and then pay-per-click advertising as well. So a lot of familiarity with that. Our agency focused on the trades, so familiar with that as well. And my role at ServiceTitan is twofold. I was brought in as the PPC ad subject matter expert to help guide the creation of the ads product in Marketing Pro. And so where the conversation goes today does not need to be a sales pitch for the ads product or Marketing Pro. But any questions about that, if you have them, I'm the person to ask for sure. And then I'm currently filling in for the product manager for Reputation in Marketing Pro, who's on maternity leave. So I've had to get good at Reputation in the last few months. So if it comes up, we'll try and stay on topic. So anything to do with analytics and reporting for Reputation, I'd love to hear. But anything about marketing analytics, how to measure marketing performance, it's what I love talking about. So really happy to be here today.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and start with just basic questions. And what we're going to do is there was a webinar that Dylan had, I think it was last month, in regards to this exact topic. And how many of you, by raise of hands, were able to attend that webinar? Not many. Okay, so Johnny was. So let's go ahead and start backwards and show the ads product that we have today, and then kind of talk about the different features that we've turned on, so that we can walk them through as to all of the cool buttons that have appeared.
Awesome. Does everyone here know how to use the reactions button at the bottom of your Zoom? If you do, leave a reaction. Anyone will do. Good. Okay. So for those who didn't leave a reaction, just hover over your screen. You'll see at the bottom a bunch of different icons. There's one called reactions. There, if you have a question, click on the raise hand, and that will be my cue that which I will do right now. So you can see, if I see that, then I will stop talking and call on you. Also, feel free to unmute yourself and just interrupt me. That would be great as well. And then I may do some polls and ask you to provide some sort of reaction, which will happen right now. So how many of you are familiar with ServiceTitan's ads measurement solution? Any reaction will do. And if you're not, okay, probably a better question. Leave a reaction. Leave this one that I'm going to do, which is the face with the O mouth. If you've never heard of ads measurement. Okay, so we're still going to go over it real quick, but let me just get the right screen pulled up. Really good chance for you guys to ask any questions that you might have about it. So when I was brought in to, we're trying to build ads solutions, PPC solutions for the trades, they brought me in because they saw how much all of you were spending on Google Ads and other digital advertising platforms. And they heard how much you all were complaining about it, about how Google takes so much of your money. You have no idea whether or not it's working. There has to be a better way. Meanwhile, I was at my agency trying to find better ways to do this. And I actually kind of started a side business of connecting ServiceTitan to Google Ads. That was what I was working on. which caught ServiceTitan's attention. So they said, hey, do you want to come build it for us? We're trying to solve these problems too. And I was always a big fan of ServiceTitan, loved the company, went to Pantheon and thought it was the best. So I decided to join, and we worked on this of how can we creatively connect Google Ads with ServiceTitan to improve your PPC and how it works. And we interviewed a lot of you right from the bat, because I had kind of these big dreams and big ideas of what we could accomplish. And the consensus was, I have no idea what my ROI is. I don't know if it's working or not. So that was the first thing that we set to solve, was let's give our customers a very clear picture of what's working and what's not. And for Google Ads, it's kind of like where we started, but really for all of your digital marketing is where we have started to go and where we're going to continue to go. We have integrations with Facebook and Bing in the works to be released in the next few months. But all of your website traffic, we want to be able to give some visibility into that. So the way that it works is by integrating Google Ads with ServiceTitan, doing a bit of a technical setup where you may use some sort of conversion tracking software. How many of you use CallRail, call tracking metrics, some sort of call swapping solution to track your conversions? Okay. Perfect. And then how many of you can drop in the chat or you can message, have no idea what I'm talking about?
It's okay to have no idea what you're talking about. We will show you. It's not a big deal.
More than half of the people I talk to have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so
it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
We're here to help.
Okay, perfect. So the way that I'm not going to get into the technical details unless someone specifically asks me to. But really what we're doing is we're swapping the phone number on your website with one of our tracking numbers. And you might say, well, we already use a tracking number. It's tied to a campaign called website in ServiceTitan. But by kind of doing this dynamic number swapping solution that we built, we are able to connect exactly what's happening on Google Ads with what's happening in ServiceTitan. So usually the way that PPC marketing has been measured before, when we talk about measuring marketing performance, there's a single campaign in ServiceTitan that's called PPC. And then you have your ads forward to that number. And then when you're trying to measure all of your campaigns, you'll go to the campaign summary report. Hopefully we're familiar with that, but if not, you go to the campaign summary report, you look at all of your campaigns and you'll see one called PPC, pay-per-click, Google Ads, something like that. That sounds familiar? You either do have that or you have had that. Here's the problem with that setup. And this is the analogy that I love to give. Imagine that you have, we'll say 10 technicians working for your business, and you send them all out to go and do jobs for the day. However, you don't know which technician is going to which job. And you don't know how many jobs each of them are doing. All you know is they all got sent out. And at the end of the day, they all came back and handed you we'll just for visual image, a bag full of money. And that's the money that they all collectively made that day. And that's how your business is ran. Is you send out your texts, you find out as a whole how much money it generated for the day. And that is the only visibility that you have. Now you could imagine how that would be a horrible way to run a business, because how can you train the techs that are underperforming? How can you incentivize those techs that are your rock stars? How can you improve your operations if you don't have that visibility? But that's essentially what is happening with Google Ads. Is you have hundreds of keywords in your account. You have multiple campaigns with different purposes, with different levels of effectiveness running. For example, you might have an HVAC versus plumbing campaign, or one campaign in a certain city that you serve versus another city that you serve. The keywords can vary drastically in their purposes, but you have no visibility into which ones are leading to revenue producing jobs, right? You're just getting that lump sum. You're looking at that one campaign in your ServiceTitan account that says how many jobs, how much revenue is being booked. So there's a lot of power in the granularity of being able to see exactly which campaign's working, which one's not. So for those who have Marketing Pro, if you have Marketing Pro, then you can get ads measurement included with it. It's no additional cost. So if you do have Marketing Pro, then you likely have ads measurement, and you may need to do some configuration to make sure it's set up correctly. But I will share my screen to show you. I cannot share while the other participant is sharing. I don't think anyone else is sharing. I don't know what's going on, Sarah. Maybe you can help me out. Do you need like enable screen sharing, Sarah?
Hold on. Give me a second. I think it was because I had the audio. You need to enable screen share. That's you.
Any questions so far about what I've said?
Can you take it over now?
I know Daniel's heard this spiel a few times, so thanks for bearing through it again.
Okay, give it a whirl.
It's always good to listen to it more than once.
It is, because it's a lot of information, right?
Okay. You can see my screen? I think I can see you seeing my screen, so I think we're okay. All right, so this is what that new dashboard looks like. And if you haven't seen this, it's probably because you don't have full suite Marketing Pro. If you do, then it's because you have ads, Marketing Pro and ads by default enabled. If you were to go to the ads tab and you haven't set up the ads integration properly, you would see a bunch of zeros, and this would mean nothing to you. And so we may walk through how to set up the ads integration in this call, depending on the interest of the group and what you want. But unlocking this dashboard is very powerful. When we presented at the last Pantheon on this, the first question I asked when me and Dylan got on stage was, how many of you know, could look up and know immediately the ROI of your PPC campaigns? And of the 200 to 300 people that were there, 5 to 6 put up their hands. And I was expecting maybe, a third or half of them, but what ended up being like 2 or 3% that actually knew their ROI was very alarming. And so right off the bat, you open this page and you can see your ads generated this much revenue. It costs this much. Here's the ratio between those two. Or of the revenue you get, how much of that profit or revenue was taken out by the cost of marketing. So you can know right away. Just kind of a gut check. How many of you, do we have thumbs up, thumbs down? I can't see you guys. How many of you would be happy with this ROI of you got 50 from PPC, 56,000 of revenue, and you had to spend 12,000 to get it? I see 1 thumbs up. I see 2 thumbs up. Because I'm sharing, I kind of have to scroll and see. Another thumbs up. All right, so we're happy with it. Or you're not and don't know how to express displeasure through the emoticons. So that's fine. Yeah, as a general rule, if you are like 20%, I like to view that as like okay performance on PPC. You always want more if you can get more, but it's so competitive and cutthroat that depending on your market, 20% is a good return. And we have access to a lot of data. We see a lot of accounts, and I see a lot where this number is 100%, which is bad, right? You're spending 11,000. Well, so you're spending 12,000 and the revenue is 12,000 or lower. And that's really the power of this dashboard, is it lets you see right away, whoa, something's wrong with my advertising. We're definitely losing money. Let's fix it. So as a rule of thumb, if you're getting 20%, you can live with that. If you're aggressively trying to grow and you're really just trying to build your customer base, then you would probably be willing to go a bit higher on that, spend a bit more to make a bit less. In that case, you definitely want to measure new customers coming in as opposed to old ones. Like I would be happy with 50% if they're all new customers. And I'm building a customer base that I can remarket to and upsell memberships to. The campaign summary report, I should really pull that up. Maybe I'll do that later. Gives you a breakdown, so I can see for my campaigns how many are new versus returning. There's columns by default that are up for that. This has that as well, where you can go and look at of the leads that came in, what percent are new customers versus what percent are existing customers. And so you do get that view on this page as well. We also wanted to show PPC metrics, just so that you don't need to necessarily jump from this report to whatever your marketing agency or your internal PPC person's doing, or if you run it yourself going into the Google Ads account, just so you can have a high level of how things are performing. You can see how your ads are contributing to business metrics like leads, booked jobs, ran jobs, and sold jobs. With the performance chart, you can see the trend of leads. How are they doing day by day, and where are they coming from? The really exciting table for me is the performance table. I'm still trying to move it higher on the page because I think this is where the money is and the nuggets, the gold nuggets to find. But as you can see, let's say you have 6 campaigns, I guess 5 campaigns. Counting's hard sometimes. 5 campaigns. Again, the analogy at the start, if you're to send 5 technicians out and have no visibility into what they're doing, they come back with a single lump sum. You can't train them, you can't improve their performance. This lets you see each campaign's performance in a way that you can't see it just in Google, and in a way that you can't see it just in ServiceTitan. Because again, with ServiceTitan, there's a lot of good metrics here, like booked jobs, ran jobs, average revenue, and total revenue. Again, those would be looped or lumped into a single campaign called PPC. But now we get to break that out into really granular campaigns where you can see the PPC data, the Google Ads data, like impressions and clicks, click-through rate, cost, what you might get from your agency. And usually cost per conversion is their main metric that an agency would focus on, which, that's the best they could have done. It's what I did when I worked at an agency. But now we're kind of unlocking these business metrics so you can see the revenue tied to it. So we're going to go through a quick exercise. If there are any questions.
There are 2 questions. Let's go ahead and answer them real quickly. Caitlin asked, why am I not able to see revenue from my ads? I can see everything else properly, but my revenue has never shown.
So the usual reason for that is you did not configure or you haven't yet configured the DNI, which is the call tracking. It's just integrating the ads. We can't tell what the revenue is. We need to set up that call swapping on your website. So maybe, have you set that up? Yeah, that's it. No, that's the most common thing is, and we have improvements queued up in the user experience in the software, where it's not obvious. It seems we kind of make it seem like just integrate ads analytics, it works. And there's this dynamic call tracking. That's another step that we haven't made it clear is necessary. So we're going to make it more of a step-by-step process in the future.
Okay. Samantha said, I have an issue with manual leads. Anything booked off the booking screen, installs, recalls are being counted as my manual leads so far, and several ServiceTitan reps have not been able to find a workaround.
Manual leads, so anything booked off the call booking screen.
Yeah, so basically say it's the second call, it's now going into as manual instead of to a campaign is my guess. Is that right?
Yeah, why don't you unmute yourself, Samantha, and explain that while I try to pull open the demo account.
So basically the issue we've been having is say a lead comes in through a lead gen portal or something like that. And so our CSRs have to book those manually on the call booking screen. That to me is a lead, but otherwise installs or jobs booked off of estimates or things like that are also booked that way and being counted as manual leads. So in my marketing dashboard, I have absolutely no way of knowing how many actual manual leads we have. And according to ServiceTitan, there's no other way to book installs other than using the call booking screen. It just keeps defaulting us back there.
Got it. Yeah, it's definitely another team with more expertise on that, but just, I want to make sure I understand the issue. The issue is you're looking for a way to differentiate actual like marketing leads that come in, which are typically booked as a manual job, and kind of follow up install jobs. It's the same mechanism to book both of those. Is that correct? Yeah, that's I feel like I talk less like this than I used to, but I was on the other side of the fence before, where I was a ServiceTitan user and not a employee, and it was always problematic, the kind of lack of lead management solutions. It was built as a CRM to where once a lead becomes a customer, that is the point where they are in ServiceTitan and where ServiceTitan takes over. But there's so many needs and kind of so many kind of features built to handle the situation of them becoming a customer before the book job. Now I know ServiceTitan is working and other teams are working on lead management solutions, CRM solutions, the CRM team, they're called, and ways to better manage contacts before they turn into customers, and ways to measure that. There's probably some reporting workarounds. For example, the dashboard that I've been sharing may not, and I can share it again, may not be the best, because we would count those manual calls, but there's probably some stuff you can do with projects and custom reports to get the data that you're looking for. So, and I know your CSMs have been working on it, but maybe we can, I can take a crack at it and we'll see if we can find something that gets you what you're looking for. But it is being worked on. There are solutions, systemic solutions that are being worked on to solve that problem.
I will take that away as an action item and then follow back up with her after this. All right, and I think we had a lot of DNI, so I put the link in the chat for how to get started with DNI if you need that.
Yeah, and I mean, I can walk through it really quick. It's a very quick and easy process, fortunately, until one thing goes wrong, which it sounds like it happened for Caitlin. But for most people that go through it, it ends up being quick and easy. Let's go through this case study. We'll do that again, and I'll show you how to set up DNI to enable this. So we have these different campaigns with different performance levels. And if I'm a marketing agency not using this integration, I'm trying to pick which campaign is the best, which one's the worst. My process usually is to sort by cost, find the one with the most cost, which is how it's sorted right now, with the exception of those two, but it's close enough. Because where you're spending the most money is where there's the most potential to, probably increase the ROI or cut waste. So I always look at where I'm spending the most. And then I see performance and I see what's the cost per conversion. So I'm spending $166 just to get the phone to ring or them to submit a form, which is a lot, but we'll say it's a competitive market. It's, the necessary evil of advertising on Google Ads. And then I look at this and I could maybe see, well, I have these other campaigns that have a better cost per conversion. So maybe I should shift some budget over to these campaigns. And by so doing, I can get more conversions for less money. That's a typical process that a PPC person might go through. Or maybe you have a target cost per conversion of $200. And because I'm below that threshold, maybe I'll increase the budget or add more keywords or try and do more with this campaign. And so we look at these different metrics to try and improve performance without any visibility into the actual revenue, at least at a very specific campaign level. But with this dashboard, I'm looking at this, I'm trying to decide, should I shift budget to these two campaigns? I can see, okay, well, this one actually is doing really well and it's working well. And those two campaigns are not doing as good. Just from a revenue standpoint, bringing in a lot less. So I should actually, if anything, be shifting more budget to this because it's my best campaign. Which again, just looking at the previous metrics of how much is it costing to get a call, you wouldn't be able to determine that. You need to look at the whole picture. You could look at another scenario where, and this top one's the best example of it, but we'll go to this one. This campaign, which again has the best cost per conversion. If I'm just looking at the PPC reports I'm used to, likely this is my best campaign and I need to start focusing on it. We can see that while there are 21 conversions and a very good cost per conversion, only 5 of those turned into actual leads. And that's a ServiceTitan lead, longer than 60 seconds, not excused, not abandoned. So this can now highlight an opportunity to, let's go into this campaign and let's listen to the calls and find out what's going on here. And within this dashboard, you can actually do that. You can drill into a specific campaign and see the calls at the bottom. And listening to the calls, you can find out for this business unit, we are booked out 3 weeks, and that's why they're not turning into leads, because no one wants to wait 3 weeks to get their plumbing emergency handled. Or for whatever reason, a common one that I've actually seen is certain campaigns are just triggering a ton of competitor searches. So let's say you have a campaign that has a keyword that says just HVAC in it, and that's the keyword. And then you have a competitor called Sally's HVAC. And because HVAC's in their title, when you say, hey, I want to put money towards HVAC, every time that someone searches for Sally's HVAC, your ad will show up and you'll get charged for it. Now that can be a strategy if you want to target your competitors' keywords. If you do, you need to have the people on the phone ready to handle that situation, to try and convert that customer. And you need to do it deliberately, not accidentally. Because if you do it accidentally, what's going to happen is someone's going to look for Sally's HVAC because they have an open estimate with Sally. And when they call and they say, hey, I'm ready to move forward with this, and then, oh, sorry, we are a completely different company, you're just wasting money. And when clicks can cost $20 to $50, you don't want to spend $50 just to tell someone they called the wrong number, right? But it actually happens all of the time. And so in this type of investigation where you're seeing, and whether you're doing it or you can talk to your agency about it, you can say, hey, why were there 22 conversions, but only 5 of them are leads? Now they can go in and do this type of investigation. If you have an agency or your internal person or whoever, then they can go in and listen and look at the campaigns and say, oh, you know what? We looked at the search term report in Google and saw Sally's HVAC is the overwhelming number of clicks. They're not turning into revenue. So let's exclude that keyword or exclude Sally so that we can't show up for her campaign anymore.
Okay, we have some questions. How are
Thank
the
you.
campaigns managed on the back end? Are there people managing it, or are they baked in AI to create the interface with Google? For example, right now I work with people to update my campaigns when they aren't effective. Sometimes changing keywords, etc. helps. Do we have control over performance of the campaigns?
Yeah, great question. And that's an important clarification, that with what we've tried to solve here is not a completely automated Google Ads management system. We investigated that, but at the end of the day, we're not trying to replace agencies. What we're trying to do is give you and them tools to do advertising the right way. So you can't add or remove keywords right now. We do have a future feature coming out called Optimizer that will highlight things that you can and should do in your account. So for example, if there was a keyword that you're spending a lot of money on, that's generating no revenue, then we would highlight that. So the feature, it's part of something called Optimizer, and that will be the recommendations part of Optimizer. So we will provide recommendations similar to Titan Intelligence or Titan Advisor, but it would be very specific, targeted recommendations, like this keyword HVAC is performing poorly. We recommend pausing it. And then maybe the version of that would be, you can push a button that says pause this keyword from within the interface, or send a message to your agency to do it, whatever it might be.
Right. So I dropped the link for your agency in the chat, so you can send them that information about how to set up and what this product really is. It's not meant to scare your agencies. We want to be able to bring trades transparency to the trades when it comes to your numbers, right? A lot of us don't know what's going on in Google, and we see their boards, and then we have to run our own reports. And so sometimes those numbers don't match because they either have a one-to-one with a phone call, or they have someone listening to the phone call and then manually attributing revenue, or they could have a solution that has revenue built in. But this gives you a view, and the agency a view, if you allow them in, to really see what's happening in terms of all of your data inside of ServiceTitan. And you don't have to pay for a seat for an agency to be into your account. You can set it up like a normal person that's not managed tech.
Yeah, I would say any agency worth their weight is would want to be in ServiceTitan, looking at your data, and you should be able to trust them to do that. If you don't trust your agency to be in your ServiceTitan account, then you need to fix that relationship somehow, or find a new agency, because you need to find a strategic partner that is looking at your metrics and responding to that and being proactive in their marketing strategy, rather than someone that's waiting for you to dictate everything that they need to do. Yeah. Daniel, your comment, was that about why maybe the PPC would not be working? When you said your marketing message doesn't match your offering.
I think we were looking at back on the performance table. I think you were just going over the amount of all conversions versus leads. And let's see here. Yeah, the main difference between conversions and leads there. So that would be another factor to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
In your campaign, you may be marketing a certain message, but if you're answering the phone and that does not, mimic what your offering is, that could be a severe drop in leads as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's the power of this tool, is there could be a dozen different reasons why those calls aren't converting. But this highlights the problem and tells you which campaigns worth of calls that you should be listening to diagnose what's going on. We did add a section here, actually. This is a prototype that I kind of threw together to not show real data, so it's a bit messy. But yes, that's what it looks like here. But a call reason report, where it will actually show for the view that you're on the reasons that a call, when a call is dismissed or excused, right, you can select the call reason of why it didn't get booked. This kind of shows those different reasons. So if you had a campaign where things aren't going good, you can listen to all those calls, but if you're just in a rush or you kind of want a quick sense first, you can look at this call reason report and it will show the exact call reasons that were marked by the CSR. And if one of them is, didn't want to wait, then it's that. Called for a competitor, that it's that. And so making sure that you're using call reasons well can actually help enhance this whole process.
Another question. Where do we put the numbers for DNI and dial pad?
Where do we put the numbers? I know you just need to import them into Dialpad. I'm actually not very familiar with Dialpad. I've only seen it used a few times firsthand. But from what I understand, there's a process. Every time you add a ServiceTitan number, you import it into Dialpad. Just follow that normal process. Add the numbers to your main line. That sounds accurate. That sounds correct. It should forward to your main line at least.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. And then, Robin, your question's interesting of how do we calculate the cost for emails and direct mail? Because, there's fixed costs and then there's marginal costs where, the cost for Marketing Pro is almost like overhead. It's like your marketing overhead. And then there's the specific per action cost. So obviously direct mail, that's very quantifiable, is the 65 cents or whatever it might be. Whereas with email, it's free. That's not free because you're paying for Marketing Pro. So it's really up to you to try, and if you're trying to calculate the ROI of Marketing Pro itself, I would probably view Marketing Pro almost as like a marketing employee. You pay someone to manage the campaigns and create output. So if you were to hire an employee that costs the cost of Marketing Pro a month, I would allocate that into the ROI the same way you would do that as well, which is probably in an overhead bucket. But because maybe you really, whatever you spend on Marketing Pro, you really go heavy into email and just do a little bit direct mail, and then you're trying to divide the cost between the two. Might be messy. But you could, it's up to you. You could put 50% into email and 50% into direct mail and just kind of add that as a manual cost to what Daniel said to each of those buckets every single month.
Yeah, that'd be kind of hard, or reputation, because there's so many different products. So it would be hard to divide out this email brought in. You just want to look at the attributed revenue and say, okay, if I was using Constant Contact, it would cost me this much money. If I was using a reputation management software, it would cost me this much money. If I was using an ad software, it does cost me this much money. Direct mail, same thing, right? All in, if my marketing cost to have Marketing Pro is cheaper than all of these different ones, which it is, and it takes less time because time is money, that's how I kind of look at it. So example, when I was in the trades, and this was a couple of years ago, my reputation management product cost me $3,600. My email cost me around, I think, $100. My Yex listing was $1,400. So it's already way over the cost of Marketing Pro. So I just kind of worked my math backwards. And then direct mail was insane. So. Okay.
Cool. So I'm going to really quickly go through, I'll try and keep monitoring the chat, make sure I don't miss any, but quickly go through how to set up ads measurement. If you do have a marketing agency, I would loop them into this process. If you were to do something like this without their knowledge, it could really mess with their processes. But most of the agencies that I've engaged with over the last 2 years, and it's been a lot, most of them are really excited about it and willing to work with us to get it working. And they're excited of the prospect of being able to see the revenue per campaign because they they're really, they know. I worked in an agency. I know. I felt like an ethical dilemma of, we're just giving them phone calls, and then that's like our product. We're selling phone calls more or less. What if it's not actually helping them? So most agencies crave this ability to have specific ROI. Yes, the recording of this will be shared so you can review it. Okay, so there's a few ways to get to where you want to go. You can either click on marketing and integrations, that will take you there, or you can go to settings, integrations, marketing integrations. And you will see all of these. It may be worth talking about marketing data cleanup. It's pretty relevant for this discussion, but we'll start with this. So it is a 3-step process. You need to do all 3 steps for the integration to work properly: Google Ads, Google Analytics, dynamic call tracking, or DNI as it's often referred to in the marketing space. Google Ads is fairly simple. You just add any account that you want. You do need to have edit access to the account. If you have read-only access, it won't work. It should show you a list of all the accounts you have access to. Here's a blank one that I will select. It's blank for demo purposes because it's Tom Howard's GLSA account. Don't tell him. No, he knows. And then what will happen is it will show you all of the accounts that you've linked and all of the campaigns that pull in. This is for local service accounts. It actually does pull them in. It gives them this weird name. So if you see that, that's what that is. But when you click finish, what it will do is every campaign that you have under these accounts, it will automatically create, if you're going to settings, operations, campaigns, it will create a version of each of these campaigns in ServiceTitan. So now all of your PPC campaigns, let's say it was these guys, there will now be an HVAC repair Gotham, plumbing Gotham, HVAC repair Metropolis, all automatically created in your ServiceTitan account. So click finish, and that's it. For analytics, this is a question I get very often, but do you support GA4, Google Analytics 4, which is the new one? We're building that as we speak. There was a meeting last night where we talked to the engineers about, the final touches on how it's going to be designed, and they're working on it, I think, starting next week. So we're really close to being able to have GA4 supported. For now, it does only work with UA or Universal Analytics, the current and long-standing version of Google Analytics. And we're trying to add some cool functionality with the GA4 one, but and for what it's worth, it sounds like Google is going to delay. They said you need to switch to GA4 by June of this year. It sounds like they're going to delay that for another year, which I always suspected that they would. And it seems like they're actually going to do it. So there's not as big of a rush. However, just Universal Analytics for now. And just, again, you need to have edit access. You pick your property, or your account, select the specific property that you want to integrate. I have access to a lot, so it takes me a long time specifically. And then pick the view. And the purpose of this integration, by the way, is we're not only tracking and showing the information in ServiceTitan, but we're also sending these as conversions into Google Ads and Analytics, so you can track performance there. And so you want to pick the view, and once GA4 is out, they call these data streams. The view or data stream that you want to send every time a lead phone call happens, where you want to send that action, that conversion, that event to. Okay, and now that that's done, this is the last step that's needed to make it all work if you want to actually see the revenue. So for dynamic call tracking, we have a lot of, this is our engineering test account. So you can see a lot of stuff happening. But we'll just add new for now. So put your website domain, and I always love to use sarahgerardo.com, which I made as a test one about a year and a half ago. And then she said, hey, I actually want a website. And so she took it over and made it awesome. So what you want to do is go ahead and grab the URL. If you have www dot in yours, then include that. If you don't, then don't include it. It should just match exactly what's after the HTTPS. Throw that there. Oh, geez, that must have not copied it. It's a good thing I didn't have anything else on my clipboard. Phone number, go to your website, find the phone number on the site. My number is below the contact me. We've been doing some experiments on this. And do you not have a phone number on here right now, Sarah?
People were calling me. I had to take it off.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fun. So we'll just say, and honestly, it needs to be a real number, so I'll put my number. Don't spam me. Real number. You click next. Now you'll get this code, and it might look overwhelming, but it's really not that bad. If someone else manages your website, you can just send them these instructions. You can send them the guide as well as how to use it. But essentially, you just put this in the header of the website, and it allows us to do our thing. Go next. Now, in order, that's fun. In order for it to work, the way it works is, okay, I'm gonna need to go to a different website that actually has a phone number, but I want to go to a real website. You'll just have to use your imaginations with me. Imagine instead of send a text, it has a phone number here at the bottom right. What we will do is whatever number that you said I want to replace, we need to pull from a pool of phone numbers to swap that out. And the reason that it needs to be a pool of multiple phone numbers is we need a unique phone number for every single person that comes to the website. So if Robin came to the website, then she would get her number because wherever she came from, in the URL, usually there's some extra information that tells us exactly where they came from. And the important one for ads is this GCL ID, which allows us to track everything from Google Ads. It's the Google Click ID. So if Robin clicked an ad and came to Sarah's website, there would be this Google Click ID. And by assigning her a unique number, when that number gets called, we know that it's her Click ID. It was her web session with all this information to assign to her. But then Robin, other Robin, I was trying to use real names, and it's Robin and Robin. Okay, Robin W is the first one. Now Robin C is comes on, and she'll have her own Click ID that's different, and her own URL information that's different. So she'll get her own unique number. So we need a kind of a holster of numbers to rotate through for every unique visitor. So that's what this step is you can click to add a number, pick it, add it, call continuity to the real number. This is again a demo account, and it looks like it's actually integrating with Dialpad a little bit, which is new to me. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, interesting. Okay. I'm gonna have to look into that. What a way to discover that. Engineers are working on stuff. But put in the number. Add it. Now you do need 25 numbers because if you were to again, have a ton of people come to the website at the same time. They all need their own number. And 25 was the number we came up with. That is the safe number for pretty much everyone. If you were to send out an e-blast that got a swell of traffic to your website, or if you're a larger enterprise shop that does a lot of business, 25 should be safe for all of those cases. So you'll have to do this 25 times. This is the most tedious part of the process. But once you have 25 numbers, and if you had any just unused numbers sitting around your account, then they would show up here as well. You click add, you get the 25, then you push next. I won't do it with this one because I don't want to add 25 numbers, but I'll show you with a different one. So 25 numbers have been added. You can bulk add 25 toll-free numbers, but almost no one does that because they want the local numbers to show up. There's this test page. You start the test and run it. Again, do this once the code is on the website, the code from step 2, and then run it, and then the test should work. There are a few website formats that are really mess with this test. And so you might see a case where it says fail, but then you go to your number and it's swapping and it's working. In that case, if it does say fail and it looks like it's working, then it really is working. So double check that. Again, it's just the way that some websites, they block our testing code, and we're trying to find solutions to that right now. But generally it will work. Another reason it might fail is if you were using, let's say, CallRail or a different call swapping solution. If that's still on your website, it usually will not play nice with ours. It'll swap out the number maybe before ours, and now we can't do it. But then sometimes ours wins and then theirs wins, and you'll get half the data in one and half in another. We've seen it before. So make sure if you are using CallRail, call tracking metrics, anything like that, to take that off, put ours on, and then run it. Once that's set up, you'll see numbers swapping on the website. So whatever number was here, as soon as I come, and you'll probably see it for like a split second when you first come to a page and it loads, that it'll show a number and then immediately swap it with one of the new dynamic call tracking numbers. And then to check to see, are the calls coming in? Are they being tracked? The best place to do that is under the marketing tab. And there's this new page called attributed calls, which will show every call that has come through to a DNI number, to one of those tracked numbers, and they'll show up here. So there are some calls coming in. These are all test calls, but in this account, but that means it's working.
Awesome.
All right.
We have 4 minutes left. Do we have any questions? Because this was a lot of information that we just went over, and Google Ads is always a lot to take in, just in general. So are there any questions from today that we can answer? No? Okay, well, we have questions that you all have been asking, and so we want to go ahead and answer some really important ones. Can I keep using my existing DNI service like CallRail or call tracking metrics and use this platform?
So in general, we recommend no, because there's just a lot of benefits. However, there are some agencies that are like so integrated with CallRail, and they've built a lot of their own tech on top of that they can't really move from it. So we did build an API connection where they can keep using CallRail or a different one and send that data to us. It would require, a little bit of developer work where they need to build kind of the API connection. It's nothing too crazy. They should be able to handle it, but it is possible if they absolutely refuse to switch. If they do switch, again, CallRail costs money. This is included in Marketing Pro. CallRail, you pay per minute. You pay per phone number. You get as many minutes and numbers as you want with this for no additional charge. So it does work better just to switch if they're willing to.
If possible. Sometimes agencies have their own, it's part of their service. And then one last big question is, does ads measurement also track web forms and or chats?
I will try and answer this in 2 minutes.
Just read what you wrote.
Yeah. So the ads measurement does not specifically track those things. There is a way to, similar to what I just said with the call tracking, where you can connect CallRail through the API to ServiceTitan. You can connect web forms and chats through the API to ServiceTitan, and you can send in the campaign and the attribution information so that it will enter into ServiceTitan with the proper campaign. You can do that with Schedule Engine as well. So again, with a bit of development work, it is possible, and we have some documentation that allows you to do that. But yeah.
And I'll be throwing the documentation and the links next week on the Facebook group, so you will all have that. And then we'll making some cool stuff for you. The last question, Robin, you're gonna have to come off mute and ask your question about reputation, and we'll end with that.
Sure. We just started using this to bonus our technicians. And I was using Podium before. So 2 things. One, I could pull a report, an Excel report on Podium to get all the information. I don't see a report on this, as well as I have to click on view to see the customer who sent the review. So, or if there's a search button that I can pull up the response, the name of the responder. Otherwise, it takes a little bit more work for me to go through and kind of do analytics on this for my technicians. Is there any
good
answers?
There might be an easier way to search. I'm not sure, but I will say the first feature that I have designed that's to be built is the export button. So it's coming as soon as we get the resources to build it. But yeah, that's been a requested feature. We'll take that as an action item to get back to her on. I think Heather would probably have the best practices on how to solve that exact problem more than I would. But yeah, we'll let you know. We'll help you find the best current solution, and then rest assured that an export button is coming soon to a reputation near you.
All right, thanks.
Well, we appreciate everyone for coming. Thank you so much. If you could please take the survey and that I dropped in the chat, that will help us make these workshops a little bit better. We will be at Toolbox Live events talking about marketing in Jacksonville this month, in Nashville next month, and then we will be holding marketing only summits starting in April. We'll be going to Pennsylvania, Austin, Utah, and then Glendale. So we can't wait to see you all there. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day.